I'm right here with Mellow Man Ace, legendary hip-hop artist. What's up, man?
Chillin', man. Out here on the Ave on a nice, beautiful Saturday.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
Cypress Hill, Cypress Ave. This is it, man.
This is where it all started.
This is where it all started at.
So I kind of want to go way back before we even jump into the hip-hop shit. I know you left at an early age, but what did your parents or your relatives tell you about what it was like growing up in Cuba?
Así entiende nuestro pueblo sus deberes, porque entiende que el enemigo es uno, el mismo que nos ataca a nosotros.
Oh man, yeah, we left in 1971. And, you know, the stories we heard here were, you know, food rationing lines.
The law establishing the ration, known as the Libreta, was passed in 1962, with hundreds of ration stores finally opening on July 12, 1963.
You got like 20 pounds of rice for the month for your whole family. But you had to go stand in a long line, you know what I mean, to get that. You had 20 pounds of rice, 20 pounds of coffee, 20 pounds of, I think, beans and sugar. And that was kind of all it was. And then if your uncles or your pops found, you know, they got a pig somewhere, then that day you had some meat. You know, they put the whole pig up, slowly cook it. You know, it take a long time to cook a pig. Shit was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Very humble beginnings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But living under communism and shit like that, it's never easy. You know, I remember seeing Soviet tanks on my block as a young man. It's sad. At that time, it was really sad. You didn't really know what it was when you're 4 or 5 years old, but, you know, you come to the United States and the worst you see is like a police car on your street.
In less than 90 days, between April and June of 1980, more than 110,000 Cubans flee Cuba.
What was it like growing up in LA, being Cuban? Did you get a lot of shit from, you know, the Mexicans, El Salvadorians?
At that time, it was a big Cuban community, Southgate, Bell, even in the Huntington Park.
Okay.
And even up in parts of Cudahy, you know, it was a big Cuban community. And so we had our pocket of Cuban things to do. However, you know, we did get static. You know, we had to box a lot, you know, predominantly with the Mexican cats and some of the brothers too, because the Mexicans didn't understand how we could be black and speak perfect Spanish, and the brothers hated the fact we spoke Spanish but was black. So we didn't know English at that time. You know, I was just a young cat trying to figure it out, talking like a very broken Sammy Sosa type of English, you know, like baseball's been very good to me type shit, you know. Shit like that, man. It was arguments over dumb shit, you know what I mean, like cultural differences and things like that nowadays we look at in our older age and we're looking back and we go like, wow, how ignorant was society back then.
Did you fall in love with hip-hop, and who were some of the influences that got you into this art?
I gotta say, well, you know, I heard Rapper's Delight come out in real time in 1979. That record was all over the radio, but I wasn't really infected with the virus of it yet, you know. I would have to say it was like 1982 in there when I heard, and listen, we were playing, we knew a guy who was a DJ. He had turntables in the back of his like hairdresser place. His parents owned like a hairdresser, and he had turntables in the back of the thing down on Tweedy Boulevard, and he showed us all these records from Sugar Hill Records at that time, like The Sequence and shit like that, Funk You Right On Up, records like that. And then also I heard a group at that time, this was like 81 in there, I heard a group by the name of the Mean Machine. They was also on Sugar Hill, he had all the Sugar Hill records. So he played this one record called The Mean Machine, and the song was called The Disco Dream. That song really stuck with me, and I'll tell you why in a second. So like 1982, 83, we saw a movie called Wild Style. That's when I started writing rhymes in high school, 11th grade in there, 10th grade, 11th grade. And, you know, ever since I had heard that Mean Machine record, because there was an MC who broke off into a small Spanish rap in there. And I said to myself, I want to be like that dude.
Were there a lot of Latino rappers? Do you remember, you know, some of the ones coming up back then?
There were no Latino rappers except for the part that, like I said, I heard this one cat, Mr. Schick of the Mean Machine, and I would have to go and research that and find his name out and who he was in order to, you know, really get him fully engulfed into the whole Latino aspect of it. And then I came to find out that there was Puerto Rican cats, you know, that weren't necessarily yelling that they were Puerto Rican on the records, but they were there at hip hop's inception. You know, people like Prince Whipple Whip, my man DJ Disco Wiz, Charlie Chase, people like that, you know, that influenced early hip hop culture, you know. But again, there was nobody really rhyming that I heard on wax except Mr. Schick. And that's what really guided me to want to be rhyming in all Spanish. And then later on, I would add on to that by creating the bilingual rhyme style that I created.